Begin save file. Third moon from defragmentation. The time is unknown. My location is unknown. My name is unknown. All that I know is that I am somewhere, that I am someone. I have been wandering aimlessly in this place for what seems like an eternity. A place of darkness where I feel neither hot nor cold, walking through a sea of colorless sand in hopes that I will at least reach something or someone, but I never do. My only company in vague semblance of time has been a rotation of celestial bodies in the sky, or, for lack of a better word, moons. In my time in this place, I've seen a total of 3 different moons crest and then retreat over the horizon, each with a slightly different shape, color, and almost sort of a brand over their surface. My memories before the cresting of the first moon has been a haze, with any of my attempts to recollect my past life or who I was being greeted with a sharp pain and static screeching seeming to emanate from the very core of my being. In fact, up until recently, my mind and being felt so distorted, I could barely form any coherent thoughts. All I felt was that I must keep walking, until I finally collapsed. When I awoke, a rectangular gray chip was nested on the sands in front of me. Still being little more than a husk, only capable of basic tasks, I was still somehow overtaken by the urge to touch it, to reach out to the object. Memory? I somehow stumbled the words across my dried lips. I held the chip in my hands, and I felt a rush of energy and emotion flow through me. I felt color return to my skin. I became more sharply aware of my surroundings. But most importantly of all, I could finally think. But with my newfound consciousness, the feeling of some of my fragmented functions and memories returning piece by piece, came the side effect of an unwavering feel of dread and hopelessness. Even though I still know not of my origins or who I am, I still somehow know that I am not of this world, that this place is alien to me, that things are still very, very awry. I continued my march across the sands, keeping the chip held tightly in my right hand. It seems to be my only hope and lifeline in this world. I am recording this log at the waning of the 3rd moon I have seen since my defragmentation. I stumbled upon another chip of memory, this one weathered and seemingly aged as if a relic of a past time. Thoughts flushed into my head as soon as I clasped the object, and I was hit at once with a recollection that these are devices capable of storing memories and events. Still not knowing if this knowledge was being beamed into my head, or if it was something I'd known all along, I lied down in the sea of sand as I look up at the moon. The recollections of the weathered chip's previous owner are echoing in my head. Or is it echoing into my very being? I can hear the person's voice clear as day. Their thoughts and mine are one. I will begin logging their entries. For what purpose, I do not know, but I feel compelled. My vision begins to fade now, but I am not afraid. I am still very much conscious as a scene of memories plays out before me. Here are the words that echo to me.
The Andromeda Initiative. Brainchild of the visionary billionaire Gian Garson, the Andromeda Initiative was conceived as Garson's personal dream and a desire to prove humanity's capabilities beyond the military power demonstrated in the First Contact War. Garson officially began planning the initiative in 2172, announcing her ambitious goal of launching a pioneering colonization effort to Andromeda within 20 years. Internal reports show the struggles that the early initiative faced. However, Gian Garson's personal stake and enthusiasm sustained the initiative until the early 2180s, when, after a sudden influx of investment and a new marketing strategy, interest in the initiative grew afresh. Construction of the arcs was completed rapidly thereafter, and the Andromeda Initiative officially launched in 2185. The initiative's mission statement to bridge Andromeda and the Milky Way, create a sustainable, inclusive civilization, and push scientific development forward by centuries in official literature, Gian Garson characterizes the initiative as continuing the search for humanity's next horizon. Andromeda Initiative Golden Worlds. Golden worlds are planets in Andromeda's Helios cluster that are either the strongest possible candidates for settlement or whose resources could bolster the initiative's chances at long-term survival. Based on survey data and long-term projections, some are believed to be garden worlds capable of supporting life. Others are mineral treasure troves that could supply fledgling colonies with vital resources. These worlds were designated Habitats 1 through 7. While not generally used in planetary surveying, the term Golden Worlds was coined by the Andromeda Initiative's marketing team and has stuck ever since. The early settlement strategy revolves around these Golden Worlds. The arcs cannot sustain a population in stasis indefinitely, and the Nexus requires vast quantities of refined ore, helium-3, water ice, and element 0. On-the-ground Pathfinder surveys are essential to confirming quickly that the Golden Worlds are suitable for outposts. Andromeda Initiative Nexus Uprising. Despite Director Tan's reluctance to share them, the Nexus retains records of the so-called Nexus Uprising in the early months of the station's arrival. The damage caused by the Scourge killed members of the senior leadership. New individuals had to step in to fill these roles. However, with hydroponics damaged and no habitable planets available, supplies were stretched to crisis point. Dissent turned into open rebellion against this new leadership. With the Nexus threatened, Krogan work crews were asked to provide military support against the rebels, now led by Head of Security Sloan Kelly, in return for political representation. The Krogan were ultimately successful, and the rebels were exiled from the Nexus. These exiles remain a concern for the Nexus leadership to this day. The majority of Krogan personnel also left the Nexus soon afterwards. Director Tan has declined to provide details or fill in gaps in the official record. Andromeda Initiative Launch. Intergalactic travel was the topic of extranet discussion in the Milky Way for centuries. Several Asari or Solarian-led expeditions were proposed over the years, but petered out due to lack of interest, insufficient funds, or engineering hurdles. The Andromeda Initiative's use of AI like myself allowed many of the technical problems to be solved, but invited disapproval from the Turian hierarchy and the Systems Alliance. Building a fleet of dreadnought-sized arcs with private funding required delicate negotiations with the Citadel Council, and the advanced technology essential to survival in Andromeda was often acquired by unorthodox means. Building a fleet of dreadnought-sized arcs with private funding required delicate negotiations with the Citadel Council, and the advanced technology essential to survival in Andromeda was often acquired by unorthodox means. Official initiative records show the Nexus departed first in 2185, escorted by a small squadron of fighters for protection, followed by 4 arcs that comprised the initial launch wave. Additional vessels were in development, including a Quarian-led ship accommodating multiple species, but construction was slow due to their diverse requirements, and the second launch wave was delayed. Initiative observers remain optimistic. Andromeda Initiative, Militia, and Apex. Though encountering hostile species was a possible scenario, political, philosophical, and resource restraints in the Milky Way mean the Andromeda Initiative does not have a standing army and only minimal military hardware. Defense was planned to revolve around technological superiority. The Ket, however, represent a greater threat than anyone projected. The Nexus militia was formed by Tyran Kandros after he was captured by the Ket and led other prisoners in an escape. Debriefs show that upon their return to the Nexus, Kandros and his team provided the first early warnings about the Ket and, despite counter-arguments, founded and armed a volunteer militia. Today, enrollment lists show over 300 active members with ISO in reserve from a variety of combat backgrounds. Kandros describes Apex as the militia's long reach. Selected for exemplary combat skills and experience, Apex forces are small but elite teams that handle special operations. Most Apex members have rescinded their colonist status to focus on defense.
Mass Effect? The Andromeda Initiative? These scenes playing out in my head. This information. Was this person from another plane of thought or existence other than my own current one? If so, how did their logs wind up on the sands of this desolate place? I feel my head spinning, and I feel a distinct lethargy overtake me. I'm ending my first log of memories here, at the setting of the third moon. Hello, anyone who has made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for listening. This very nerdy original story in between the codex entries has been brought to you by myself, Optipersona, and the actual Mass Effect lore reading from the in-game codex in Andromeda is from my friend JenaCodex. Big shout out to her, by the way, for helping me out with this project. Also, if you're into artsy stuff, check out her website that I'll leave in the description. Anyway, comment if you enjoyed, if you have any critiques or recommendations for what lore you want to read next. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Thanks.
You focus on the wrong shit. Why these niggas talk shit? I pull out my car, then I pull up to the stars, bitch. She wanna go far shit. I be on my Mars shit. You know I be soaring. They see me, I be scoring.